Los Angeles, it's us again, as has been the case every single day this week. We are 22 hours away from kickoff at BMO Stadium, and you know what that means, LA. That means it's another episode of One More Sleep featuring yours truly, the platinum-haired flamingo, Christian Philly Filament, and La Bufanda himself, coming all the way from the west side. And we're going to rap about FC Dallas. And what's cool about this, unlike the game against Minnesota, is this is a team that will be playing for the first time this season, unlike the Loons, which was the second time. Hello, Scarf. How are you doing, buddy? It's Friday night, and, Freaky Friday. Let's get down to it. Let's have some fun. How you doing?
Long time no see, brother. You're absolutely right. It's been every single day this week, and that'll continue for the next 2 days. We get to either see each other or do a podcast, or in this case, our game preview. That's right. It's time for One More Sleep. The night before a match, that's what we do here on Defenders of the Bank. And you mentioned it, FC Dallas comes a-calling. There is no Ricardo Pepi coming through that door. He has long since left that club. But a player coming back in the triumphant return, it looks like, of Jesus Ferreira, who has been out for injury for the past couple of matches or so. In fact, I think I read somewhere their players have combined to miss almost 70 games of injury.
Yep, 16 players to miss nearly 70 matches.
Unbelievable that they're so injured so far this season. But look, they've got a lot of veteran talent. And I said this before the San Jose match, although I really didn't believe it. But I said this before the San Jose match. What's up, Bam? Oh, my goodness. I love you, Bam. Bam said, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Bam.
I got something to show Bam.
Either way, I said this before the San Jose match.
I know you know what this is, Bam.
Oh, my goodness. There you
You're
go.
one of the few that would know what this is. I love me this footy ball. Aussie footballs. I got this when I was in your neck of the woods, Melbourne, back in, 2019, I think.
Yeah, look, this is one of those matches, though, Philly. I said it before San Jose. I'm going to say it before this Dallas match. Hold on, because this could be one of those trap games, Philly.
I don't know about a trap game, but it's certainly a game that we can't overlook. Can't really call a trap game before you go off into a bye where you have some time off. It's not like a Wednesday game at BC Place against the Vancouver Whitecaps. But to your point, this is a game against a team that suffered a lot of injury. Once again, they reiterate 16 players have missed nearly 70 combined games. That's a big deal. And so if you look at their place in the standings, they did kind of the reverse St. Louis, where they've only won 3 games, but have lost 7 and tied 4. And I mean the reverse because St. Louis has only lost 4 and tied 7. A team that is meh, let's put it this way, but a team that does have some talent on the pitch. When healthy, they're certainly a middle-of-the-pack kind of a team. I wouldn't have picked them as a 12th place team, but needless to say, I wouldn't call it a trap game.
Here's the thing, though, Philly. A team in the bottom of the standings, our last match before we have a 2-week break before we travel to Orlando. We've been riding a high, 5 games now without giving up a goal, 6 straight wins. I'm just hoping it's not as much of a trap game as San Jose, for sure. But I'm just hoping that this is just not a case where LAFC takes their foot off the pedal 90 minutes too soon before they go in to this 2-week break.
Do you think so? I mean, think about where we're at right here. Ryan Hollingshead going up against his old team. He's not going to be slowing things down. We know Sebastian Ibiaga on the other end is not going to be slowing things down. I mean, there's some ties to LAFC and, of course, the FC Dallas. But this is a game when I think our players are going to want to close out a vacay on a high note. So I'm feeling very confident about this one. But like you said, not a game that we can look past, not a team we can look past, because on any given day, any team can do anything. And while I know FC Dallas has been abysmal on the road, not collecting any wins in their numerous attempts, we still need to be careful.
Yeah, Rob, make sure you listen and watch for my player to watch from FC Dallas, because I may answer your question in just a minute. This is absolutely a club, though, Philly, that has a lot of veteran talent on it, or at least a lot of veteran players who are kind of maybe at the end of the string for some of these guys. thinking about Paul Areola, thinking about Sebastian Lletget, thinking about Omar Gonzalez, who will be filling in for the red-carded Nkosai Tafari, who won't be playing for FC. That's a big loss for them on the back line. Tafari is really, really good, really fun to watch. No Paxton Pomacall, no Alan Velasco, but they've been out for most of the season with injury anyway. But you're talking about guys, Philly, and Omar Gonzalez and Sebastian Ibiaga and Sebastian Lletget and Paul Areola. These were all once very, very good players in Major League Soccer, and players who certainly, when they see that LAFC crest come out of the locker room, will certainly straighten up their backs, pump out their chest, and make sure that, look, if they're going to go down, they're not going to go down without a fight. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, anytime any club's going to play against LAFC, they're going to go out and bring their A game because whether you like it or not, this is one of the top clubs in Major League Soccer. I know people are going to be like, no way, man. Of course, we are. At the end of the day, we absolutely are. With what our club has done in a short period of time, yes, we are in the upper echelon of teams in Major League Soccer, and a team that most clubs prepare for as hard as they can. If not to beat a team like LAFC, maybe to impress the front office, because Lord knows most of these players, in particular if they're playing in Dallas or Salt Lake or Minnesota, they would much rather be here in the heart of Los Angeles as opposed to any of the places I just mentioned.
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. This is also a club, by the way, even though we talked about all that veteran talent, they don't score a whole lot. 17 goals in 14 matches. Not a lot to be afraid of in terms of goals and bunches. They've got a couple of young guys, couple of players that have kind of come out of nowhere, and Bernard Camungo and Patrickson Delgado. That'll be kind of fun to watch. But I think you and I are going to kind of hit the nails on the head in terms of their two most exciting players, at least offensively, to watch, even though one hasn't played a whole ton so far this season. But one guy that we do have to watch out for, Philly, that neither you or I picked as our players to watch, really their biggest weapon out there so far this season because of injuries.
The leading scorer
to Ferreira, is Pitar Musa with 5 goals on the season. He is a straight line. Yeah, he's a straight line goal scorer with 5 goals on the season.
Yeah, definitely a player to watch out for. Not a player that I have a great deal of scouting done on, as this is really the first time that we're playing Dallas. And it's kind of wild. I feel like we haven't played Dallas as many times as we played some of the other clubs. But we've had 11 regular season matchups between us and them. So actually, no, this will be the 11th because we're 5-3-2 against them. There's the math. But yeah, I just. Dallas isn't a club that has ever come into BMO Stadium or Bank of California and has really done anything other than get their asses handed to them. If you look at the number of goals for and against historically, look, we've outscored them 9-2 anytime they've come into LA. And I don't see any reason why this should be different, in particular with our run of form and their run of form. Their last game, they got smoked by the Galaxy. They gave them a valiant effort, but the Galaxy whooped them. Their match before that, yes, a much better result against Real Salt Lake at home in Frisco, home of the National United States Soccer Hall of Fame, a 3-3 draw there. And for the most part, though, other than that loss against the Galaxy, they've been okay. They tied Houston. They beat Austin. They got their butts handed to them by Toronto. But even though their record has been kind of May's been pretty good for them, and they've even progressed forward within the U.S. Open Cup as they beat the Tampa Bay Rowdies in their last matchup there. So maybe that's something to be said. They don't have the bad run of form that some of the other clubs that we've seen have had.
Yeah, they've been up and down for sure. By the way, Peter Musa.
Dickey reference.
By the way, Peter Musa, Philly, coming over from Benfica for almost $10 million. A huge fee, a record-breaking fee for FC Dallas that actually, from what I read, the fee could rise to as much as $13 million if he hits add-ons and performance bonuses. Certainly something to watch out for in Peter Musa. He's actually scored a couple of game-winning goals for them. He's 26 years old now, turned 26 in March from Zagreb, Croatia. And again, he's a number 9 in almost every sense of the word. He literally wears number 9 for them. He's one of their DPs, and he is a straight line goal scorer. So definitely a player to watch, but I know neither you nor I, like we said, picked him as our player to watch. And I just want to look, Martin Paz, I have said,
oh God, here we go.
I've said on numerous occasions, I don't think he's that good. He's had games where he's been fine. He's put up good numbers. He's made big saves. I just don't think over the course of an MLS season he's all that good. That's just my take on Martin Pass. But either way, I love the R.A. Dickey reference in the chat. I know you talked about it, but man, in a time where Mets fans have very little to smile about, although we did win.
They almost blew it again today.
I know, I saw 10.
All right, I don't want to talk about this. I'm in a good mood right now.
No more
There is
bets.
one thing I forgot to mention on the last pod when you
Yeah.
mentioned Benfica. One of our first designated players ever, Andre Horta, made history the other day, defenders. And if you're wondering what in the hell is that crazy goof Philly talking about now, it's true. Andre Horta plays now at Olympiacos. Olympiacos just beat Fiorentina in a hell of a game in the Europa Conference League final. They won late in the game, winning 1-0. And shocking to me that this was the first time a Greek club has ever won a European trophy. Considering all the talent that has come out of that island between teams like Panathinaikos and, of course, Olympiacos, I'm surprised. And let's not forget that Greece did win the Euros in the early 2000s. So congratulations to Andre Horta and Olympiacos. The best thing that ever happened to Horta and to LAFC is that he left and went back to Europe.
Yeah, poor guy. His first touch just doomed him from the very start. Literally passed it to Carson on his first touch of the game.
If you remember that game, though, Scarf, he was so close to redeeming himself. He had that shot from outside of the box that rattled the crossbar. He nearly redeemed himself.
Philly, close is only good in a couple of different things, and it's definitely not derby matches against your hated rival. That's for sure. He was doomed from the start, unfortunately. What do you say we get into it, Philly? What do you say we get into it, Philly? Let's get into our players to watch. Oh, and by the way, just want to remind everybody, I'm wearing I think it was our very first one back in 2018 or 2019. I've got our Pride warm-up match top on. Tomorrow's match, June 1st, is the start of Pride Month, the start of LGBTQ not awareness. It's just Pride Month. I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth and say the wrong thing. I'm really good at that sometimes. And we will be, of course, honoring Pride, showcasing Pride throughout the course of the match. Tomorrow, they'll have their Pride match tops on. I had one here. I don't know what I did with it. It's over there. I can't reach it. Doesn't matter. Either way, if you guys want the Pride match pre-warm-up top, it will be available, I believe, in HQ. It has been there, I think, already. So that's kind of neat. Make sure you come out and support. I know Christmas Tree Lane already always has something going on. They'll also have the Champions League final out on Christmas Tree Lane.
Is that confirmed?
As far as I know, it is. I'll have to check with Aaron. But
as far as you don't sound convinced. Here's the deal. I love tailgating, but there's no way I'm watching the most important game in Europe on an iPhone at the tailgate. No. Ain't happening. So I need some confirmation.
I hear you. All right, Philly, shall we get into it?
Let's rock. You're on the controls today.
Yes, sir. All right, players to watch. I'm having a little fun with this one. Why not? I think it's the guys who basically switched positions a couple of seasons ago with Marco Farfan heading over to FC Dallas and Ryan Hollingshead heading to LAFC. The reason why I actually have these two players as my players to watch isn't just because of their obvious thread to each other and to their respective opponents, but it's because I think both of them will be heavily involved in the offense tomorrow. I think Ryan Hollingshead, if there's one thing I think that's been missing from our attack, and the attack has been very, very good so far this season for us, especially obviously the last 6 matches, it's that we're not getting as much offensive production from those wingbacks, and that obviously includes Sergi Palencia, it includes Omar Campos, and it certainly includes Ryan Hollingshead. Philly, Ryan Hollingshead has been on goal watch, Graham Zusi watch for quite a while now in wanting to pass the leading scorer defensively of all time in Major League Soccer. But Ryan Hollingshead hasn't done a whole lot this season offensively. He's played a wonderful set of matches defensively, but really hasn't done a whole lot on the offensive end. And I think he will contribute to at least 1, if not 2 goals tomorrow. I'm excited to see the contributions from Ryan Hollingshead. And look, with Nikosai Tafari out tomorrow, Marco Farfan is really going to have to step up on the back line. We mentioned Omar Gonzalez will be taking Tafari's place. But Marco Farfan, one of those players offensively, he's a part of the game plan for what FC Dallas does. So we will see how much they try and use Marco Farfan. The one thing we do know for sure is that he loves playing against us after we let him go. So it should be a lot of fun to watch the two wingbacks, Marco Farfan and Ryan Hollingshead.
Far from a fan of Marco, and that goes back to his playing days with LAFC. I wouldn't say he was my least favorite player to ever wear a black and gold jersey. I would probably say I would have to go to the that Snake Raheem, and more so because of his trip up to the down to the 110 to play for the other side. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. My players to watch, you know me. Scarf likes to go for those diamonds in the rough. I like to go for the obvious ones because when you're going to tune into a match, you're going to want to see the heavyweight prize fighters. And the heavyweight prize fighter, in my opinion, for Dallas still is Jesus Ferreira. Had an injury, found his way back. Guy's got 2 goals and 3 assists on the season. Believe it or not, he leads the team with 3 assists on the season. And at a mere 23 years old and 139 days, this kid became the youngest player in MLS history to reach 50 career goals. That's pretty darn impressive. Not to mention another awesome homegrown product that FC Dallas has created. If there's anything that FC Dallas does really well is create young players. And as recently as the 27th of April, he became Dallas's all-time homegrown leader in appearances. So a lot of great things as far as this young man is concerned. And he is a dynamic, exciting scorer. So a player our backline is going to have to watch out for. And Denny Bouanga, what more can I say? I am going to pick him repeatedly, not only because he can score goals, but because he contributes. He leads our side in goals and assists with 9 and 5 respectively in Major League Soccer. He's made everybody else around him so much better. Kike Oliveira has now gotten all of our Brian bus lit off all the Brian bus scenario, and now we're all about him. He's contributing to the success of Matty Bogusz, and he's still as excited dishing out dimes as he is scoring goals. So until he stops producing in one way, shape, or form from all of those, and by the way, he leads Major League Soccer in shots and shots on target, I'm going to stick with Denny Bouanga because while he was the entire part of our offense last season, he is a big part of our offense this season because we have more players scoring, and a lot of that is due to him.
Yeah, very few matches in Major League Soccer can come down to one of those heavyweight prize fighter posters. And if MLS were to make one of those heavyweight prize fight posters for this match, Philly, it would absolutely be Ferreira and Bouanga. Look, it's hard to pick against either of those guys. I'm just glad Ferreira is healthy coming into this match selfishly so that you and I get to watch him play tomorrow. That's for sure.
Yeah, kid's a hell of a talent. I'm surprised you even brought up the name Ricardo Pepi. He hasn't been part of MLS or FC Dallas in quite some time, but we'll get to see him as a member of the U.S. men's national team. Timothy Tillman, you get to know him.
You wouldn't know the way that Topps keeps producing cards of Ricardo Pepi whenever they can in an FC Dallas uniform. That's for sure. Look, my keys, while Philly may have low-hanging fruit in terms of his players to watch, my keys are, these are high-end cerebral stuff that I'm showing you here with my keys to the match. Score early and score often. You're welcome. Yes. What I mean more so by that, though, Philly, is that by scoring early against an FC Dallas club that has only scored 17 goals in 14 matches, 17 goals in 14 matches. If you get out on them early, they almost know that there's not going to be much coming back. But what I really liked about LAFC and what we tried to do in that 2-0 win over Minnesota, Philly, what you and I saw those last 10 minutes when the game really opened up after that absolute laser show by Matty Bogusz, is that LAFC kept trying to score. We couldn't run an odd man break to save our lives. We had 4-on-2, 3-on-2, and we just looked awful running it. But I would love to have more opportunities against FC Dallas to start doing that. And look, my honest opinion is once we score first, if we do, we will open them up. And I have a feeling we'll be a little bit closer to Philly's scoreline maybe than my scoreline when it comes to the score predictions for this match. But either way, it's not just score early and score often. It's make sure you get that first one. And that when we get it and go up, unlike what we did in Atlanta, What we did against Minnesota is to keep our foot on the throttle and to go after 2, 3, 4. Hell, wouldn't it be amazing to see Kai Kamara get maybe 1 or 2 and pass Landon Donovan, former San Jose Earthquakes great? I would love to see something like that. So it may sound and look simple up there on the screen, score early and score often, but there's a method to my madness, Philly.
I appreciate that. The score early category isn't that far off of mine. Now let's head on over to mine. I'll give you a slightly different reason as to why I think scoring first is important. FC Dallas isn't a team that has been very successful coming back from being down in a game. In fact, anytime they've gone up against opposition that has scored first, they've gone 1-6-1 and have only won 4 points from being in a losing position. So the probability, if you're working off history, and we know it has a tendency to repeat itself, Scarf's a teacher. I'm sure he's heard and said that many a times. 1-6-1. The proof is in the pudding. This isn't a team that is very successful when that occurs. So that's point number one. Score first, take them out of the game early. They're already operating with a little lack of confidence after having gone down to Carson and getting their butts handed to them. And as far as the other part is concerned, it's kind of a 2. It's a 3, really, if you break it down. Strong and consistent defense. Even though Dallas has scored 17 goals this season, Scarp, 11 of them have come by way of the second half. So about 60% of their scoring the entire season typically comes within the second half. So what LAFC needs to make sure they don't do is get complacent. Sure, it'd be great to score the first goal and operate on that 1-6-1 record that Dallas has produced, but they can't be lazy, because Dallas is a second half team any way you slice or dice it. So if we can score first, that'll take them out of the game, take the wind out of their sails. If we can play strong defensively and not fall victim to a fatigue factor, because fatigue makes a coward out of everybody, we've got a pretty darn good chance against them.
Yeah, Philly, we're just 9 minutes away from an MLS shutout streak of 400 minutes. We are just 15 minutes away from an all-competition shutout streak of 500 minutes. I mean, we're talking about club record stuff here. So I think that strong and consistent defense, Philly, is something that we have seen over and over and over again over these last 5 or 6 matches. Can't wait to see what we do in June. Let's hope it's a carryover from what we did in May. We've both got LAFC coming out on top in this one. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. I really thought long and hard, Philly. I really thought, Gutierrez, thank you. I really thought long and hard, Philly, about going with
Still waiting on that check. I was told it's in the mail.
I really thought I'd go with a scoreline that would be eerily similar to yours, but I have been a little conservative with the goal side of things lately for LAFC. I firmly believe we'll keep the 0, but I also think that we may be trying to get these guys a little bit of rest going into a break. Maybe Denis Bouanga doesn't play a full 90. I don't know. We'll see a little bit more Ilie Sanchez, I would imagine. We'll see a little bit more Eric Duenas, although obviously we will have the return for at least, I don't know how many minutes he'll want to play before he gets his first and second yellow cards of Edward Atuesta. But I'm hoping he'll play a full 90. If you don't mind, Edward, that would be great. But I think you'll see a little bit of lineup rotation here. And I think once we go up 2-0, I think we'll see a few more substitutes than maybe we might be if this were maybe a match in September.
Yep, no doubt. JLA in the chat says Texas teams have a history of giving us a good fight for 3 points. Can't have high expectations for the black and gold every time we face Texas teams. I would agree when we're in the Lone Star State. That, without a doubt, I will agree. It doesn't matter how bad Austin or Dallas or Houston could be. JLA hit the hammer right on the nail. The only difference, though, is at Bank of California Stadium, FC Dallas has never been successful against us. And that score line has been 9 goals for LAFC, 2 for them in the several matches that they played up in the Bank of California / BMO throughout the year. So I'm not too worried about the Texas factor being any kind of mystique on this game. But when we go to the Lone Star State where the stars are bright, then I get worried. My scoring line.
And really, sorry, just one last thing to comment on, to piggyback on your comment. LAFC is 4-0-1 against Dallas at home. Yeah, we've never lost. 4-0-1 in Major League Soccer against Dallas at home. All right, Philly, your scoreline.
All right, 3-0. I don't see any reason why we couldn't put as many goals behind Martin Paz as the Galaxy did. I think we're a better team than the Galaxy. We've already shown that we're a better team than the Galaxy. We've beaten the Galaxy. So I picked 3 mainly because they did it, but because of something an exact opposite of what you referenced earlier. You think that some of the other players, like a Denis, not going to get as much playing time because of the bye. I actually think the exact opposite. I think that these guys are going to go in and crush it and play their hearts out because they can relax right afterwards. You're going to play very hard or work really hard or do whatever. The only time where things like this don't matter is when you're in high school and it's senioritis and you already know what college you're going to. You're going to take the finals off. The last week of school, you're going to take off. In this world of professional football, these guys are athletes, they're gamers, they're going to want to maintain that shutout streak and they want to go into a break on a high note. So they're going to be all systems go, pedal to the metal, flooring it right through Dallas's flipping throat. And we're going to do that 3 times, not enabling them to score a time. 3-0, we go on the break with our heads held up high, chilling out.
Yeah, look, I told you I wanted to go there. More so, I just want to have the same scoreline as you as well. I'll pick 2-0 over 3-0 just so that we have a little something to banter about. And once we go up 2-0, I'll turn around. I'll talk smack a couple rows behind you, a couple rows behind me there, and then they'll score a third, and Philly will talk smack that way. So it'll be fun. It'll be something for us to do. Either way, Philly and I both handily agree that it is going to be nothing on the scoreline for FC Dallas. Look, if that happens, add another 90 minutes to the shutout streak. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Again, almost 400 minutes in MLS matches, almost 500 minutes throughout all competitions. I've got 2-0. Philly's got 3-0. Philly, let's talk real quick about Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund, my friend. I know which side you will be supporting in all of that. So just for fun, I'll go ahead and pick the rich that are about to get much, much richer after their season ends. I'll take the Real Madrid side of things. Philly, you take the Borussia Dortmund side of things because show off your shirt if you don't mind for everybody.
Yeah, I wore the shirt for a reason. Yeah, I want both these teams to win tomorrow. I'm a Bayern fan, but at the end of the day, here's the deal. I like Real Madrid. I respect them from so many different perspectives. But I don't want to see them hoist another Champions League trophy. I would rather see the underdog do it. If Real Madrid was playing Atletico, I'm on the Real Madrid side. If they happen to end up playing a PSG, a Man City, whoever the case may be, I would be all about Real Madrid. But I will never take a team from La Liga over a team from the Bundesliga. It just doesn't go within my way. I would want to see a Bundesliga team win despite the rival here. And that's what I got to say. I'm going for the underdog. I'm going for Dortmund. The smart money would be that Real Madrid is going to torch them. But a lot of crazy things have happened in these final matches. Obviously, Olympiacos beating Fiorentina, an upset. Atalanta scoring 3 against Bayer Leverkusen, an upset. We're going to complete the trifecta. Dortmund is going to beat Real Madrid, and that's how I envision it.
All I will say is this. I think Real Madrid is going to win because I think they are the better club with more talent, and I think they have a player in Luka Modric who I would love to see in black and gold once their season ends. I think Luka Modric would be a wonderful addition to our midfield here at LAFC. So I'm just putting out the good vibes. I've wanted Bobby Firmino for forever, but I will gladly settle for a Luka Modric. So we will see. And Philly, I mean, look, if Manchester United can win the FA Cup, then I guess.
Oh, yeah, that's another upset I forgot about. Yes.
How'd you forget that? Those are your boys. I mean, are you kidding? I absolutely think Dortmund has a shot to win this, but Bam is absolutely right. This is the craziest thing. Somehow, and I don't remember, I didn't look into it. Philly, you may know the answer to this. How does Borussia Dortmund get more money if they lose rather than if they win? It is true. I've read it. I've seen it. I just don't understand why it is.
I actually don't know the answer to that. I came across the same article too, but to be honest, in terms of my bandwidth, I don't have the idea. The one thing I will say, the silver lining for me is if Real Madrid wins, it's what?
Look at LAFC's quote.
I can't read it. My eyes are.
Oh, Philly's getting old. They say Pachuca versus Columbus is the real main event tomorrow.
I don't disagree with that. That game's going to be at 6, so we actually might have the opportunity to see it. But let me finish my thought. The
Yeah.
silver lining for me, if Real Madrid does end up winning the game, it's Toni Kroos's final game, and I love that guy. I've loved Toni Kroos for a long, long time. He was the only shining star for the German national team in 2018 when they got knocked out of the group stages. If you will remember, he scored that unbelievable free kick late in the game against Sweden to help keep Germany's hopes alive in getting out of the group stages. I love me some Toni Kroos. So that would be the only thing I would care about if Real Madrid wins. As far as Pachuca and Columbus go, they're playing it in Mexico. Columbus has been very successful beating teams south of the border. And I saw a really cool training video watching morning footy on the Golazo Network. They had clips of the Columbus crew training with that high altitude type of training with the masks on them. You saw Diego Rossi doing the battle ropes. I mean, at 8,000 feet above sea level, the oxygen, the air, it's going to be a factor. But Columbus is definitely getting at it. And I would, believe it or not, I would like to see the crew beat Pachuca. I would. Not for any other reason than, well, I'm not one of these like, oh, it's all about MLS or, oh, it's all about the Bundesliga, even though I said it in this case for that. I think back at like something Big Ten-wise, Indiana University. I hate every school in the Big Ten, but Indiana University. And now that's going to include USC and UCLA. It's all about the Hoosiers, baby. But I do want to see the crew win because I think they're a well-coached team with a lot of talent. I think they represent this league and the United States Soccer Federation, whatever you want to call it, pretty darn well. So I'm hoping the crew can beat Pachuca.
I'll say this, if Columbus does come out with the victory, you got to start looking at them as maybe the greatest single MLS club of all time based on what they did in the final last year, based on how they played this year, based on who they beat to get to that game against Pachuca. So, look, I'm rooting for them selfishly because of Diego Rossi. I want to see Diego Rossi hoist a trophy, which would be great. I didn't want to see him hoist the one that he hoisted against us, unfortunately. But this one, I'd be okay with him hoisting. It's going to be, I mean, Pachuca's going to bring out all the stops. I think it's going to be, Pachuca's had the best academy in Liga MX for a long time now. They've been one of the best clubs in Liga MX for the last several seasons. And it wouldn't surprise me if Pachuca certainly does take the victory, especially with the game being in Mexico. But I do think if any club, the way that they're playing right now, has earned the right to be there and has a chance to upset Pachuca, because I think it would be a little bit of an upset, it is Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about how a lot of these other like cup games have gone, like over the last few years with the CCL, not a lot of MLS teams have gone down to Mexico to win. Columbus has done that, playing in hostile territory and coming out successfully over some very big, historically successful clubs. The Monterreys, the Tigres. Columbus looks solid, and I do think they're going to beat Pachuca. So this is how it's going to roll tomorrow, defenders. To start things off, Dortmund's going to beat Real Madrid at noon. Well, it'd be 2 o'clock technically. The Columbus crew are going to beat Pachuca, and LAFC is going to absolutely smack it down FC Dallas.
I love it. Listen, LAFC, they in the chat right here. I'm going to put it on the chat. Where'd it go? There it is. They're not trying to steal our black and gold identity, because if you walked up to 100 people on the street and you asked them what color that was, not any single one of them would say gold, because it is
yellow.
very, very much yellow. And if you look on their website, on Columbus's website, the hex code for their color, the Pantone color scheme, it's yellow.
Yep,
it's
no black
yellow.
and gold for them.
So I appreciate what they're saying, the original black and gold. That's adorable.
But that's not your colors. Check your ledger, morons.
Either way, Philly's got 3-0 tomorrow. I've got 2-0 tomorrow. We hope to see everybody out at BMO for what is going to be an incredible, fun send-off for these boys on a little 2-week vacation. Timmy Tillman likely won't be available after this match and is going off to the U.S. men's national team. Edward Atuesta won't be available after about 40 minutes because he's going to get 2 yellow cards. It's going to be a whole thing. But either way, Philly, it's going to be a lot of fun, my man, and I will talk to you and see you tomorrow.
All right. Hasta la bye-bye. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Bye.